Hi guys, Paul UK Reefer. Thanks for tuning in. Here's our next episode, and we are now officially 2 months into the cycle, and we're starting to see some progress. So when I left you last, we dumped ammonia in the tank. Basically, if I had to be honest with you, I've kind of wrote off the Sea Reefer Mature program. I don't believe it works with dry rock. There's nowhere near enough bottles of material in there to take it through where it needs to be. What I've ended up doing to round it all up very quickly is put ammonium chloride in there from Dr. Tim's to create the ammonia, and literally then dumped a load of different bacteria in there. I've done a bit of the API quick start, which is really cheap and rubbish, but it has a certain bacteria. I've put nitrobacter from Brightwell, I think it is, which has got other bacteria, and then the live bacteria that I've put in there is Dr. Tim's one and only. And I've literally just put all three in over the course of a few weeks, and they have slowly but surely been eating away at the ammonia and creating nitrite. So where we are now is we have 0.5 ppm of nitrite, no ammonia, and about 40 ppm nitrate. So I did a couple of very small water changes a couple of days ago just to sort of help bring some fresh into the tank. But I'll basically plan the moment the nitrite drops off, which it is doing rather rapidly now, to do a few 30 odd % water changes day after day until we get the nitrate right down, and then we'll dump the fish in. So we tour the tank, we'll look at the sump, we'll talk about equipment, so we made a very few small changes, and then I'll talk about stocking. So inside the tank, these are on lights. What you might notice is that we've got a much more even spread in the tank on light. The rock's starting to colour up slightly. It's very difficult because there's a bit of blue in the light, but it is just starting to just off-white, which will obviously massively change when we start putting the lights on full time. They've been off throughout. The sand bed got a bit stiff, so I've turned that over just slightly, so I didn't want to kill any bacteria in it. But the reason why we haven't got the disco ball effect that I had on the last one, somebody put a comment in about diffusers on the lights, and I decided to go for it. So my XR15s now have diffusers on them. This is obviously going to touch the par. I've only literally just attached these, so I need to do more par readings, but without them on at 90%, I was getting high 300s to 400s here, 500, 550 up here, and like 200 down there. So my thinking is I'll probably have to ramp the lights up slightly with the diffusers on, because you lose a bit of par, but I still can't see a reason why I can't make SPS strength lighting and spectrum. So yeah, the lights actually look a bit better, and when you walk into the room, if you're sitting at lower level at say the dining table, which is right next to it, you don't get as much glare in your eyes. So actually I'm really happy with them. This shot here is actually while sitting at the dining table. I just wanted to share that with you because it's just a really interesting view. Obviously you've got the MP10 there, but the side view goes all the way through. So there's enough space at the back to do some cleaning. We've got our flipper mag there, but basically anything that happens inside the rock you can see from the side as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting it stocked now. It has been really hard not to try and rush it. I have dabbled by changing my routine and putting loads of different bacteria in, but from what I've read, the different types of bacteria are only going to strengthen the bio sort of diversity. So not far off cycled. I'm hoping in the next week or so that nitrite will drop off. We'll cane loads of water changes, and then we'll start stocking. So no other changes, obviously inside the tank on the pumps, only the lights and the diffusers. Take you on another sump tour. The LED that I put in's been working nicely. Sorry, bear with me. Sorry about the shaky camera. Didn't set the tripod up. Let's get back here and have a look now. Okay, so took the filter socks out while I added all the bacteria and left it for a few days. Now they've gone back in just to start cleaning the water up. I've broken the skimmer. That took a good few days to break in. I run it probably about half an hour every week just to keep the pump from seizing. And it looks like it's a great skimmer, but I've got absolutely no bio load in there to pull out, so I won't know that for sure yet. The Senai has been really good. Went on holiday for a week and was able to dial in each day and check that the water level hadn't dropped out of the sump below the monitor. And what you'll also notice is that the red light for ammonia has gone off. Really impressed with it. I don't think it's something that, in hindsight, most people will want, because it's just, I mean, it really is good for testing par, and it's good for keeping an eye on ammonia at the start. But once the tank's cycled, unless there's a drama, I can't see a massive need for it. That said, keeping that on there, if ever there's a crash or if there's something dead in the tank and ammonia starts to rise, I'll see it quicker than anything. So it's going to stay in there, and I'm all right with it. Alkalinity, because we've been cycling, that naturally uses a bit of alkalinity in the tank, and what I've been doing is dosing only about 6 ml a day through the Kamoa, which is also a Wi-Fi doser. 6 ml of alkalinity in the left-hand one. The other two are redundant for now. I've got 3 pumps left if I want for calcium, magnesium when the time comes, and eventually no pox if I do dose it. Other than that, everything's working well. I haven't put any reactors in. I haven't done anything else with the sump because I'm only going to react to the load that's in the tank. So if the stocking is able to keep the nitrate and phosphate down just by having a skimmer and doing water changes, that's how we'll keep it. The other options I have are to hook up. I mean, occasionally I'll put the carbon in as well. That may or may not stay in all the time for water clarity. But other than that, the next decision will be if phosphates and nitrate rises and the water changes can't keep them down, I then have to make a decision on whether I run the Roa Phos reactor that I bought, or even still consider using this front section as a potential refugium and buying a fuge light. I haven't ruled anything out yet. I'm just going to see how the tank progresses, because everything I've read and everything I watched with BRS, Milev's Reef and everyone else is that each tank's different. So I'm not going to put equipment on that it's not needed until I know it's needed. Other than that, the pumps, already Vortex and Vectra's absolutely fine. Nothing at all has missed a beat really, so, and it shouldn't do because it's all very new, but all working well. Top up wise, because I'm using filter socks, they need to change every few days when it starts getting dirty, although these will last a week while it's cycling. Top up wise, every 3 days maximum, sometimes every 2 I'll top that up. Bit of a pain, but while I was away on holiday, I basically linked up a small auto dosing pump and put a massive container next to the tank and just fed it into the water changing unit. So when the RO unit went down here and stopped there, I had the sensor on here and it just piped fresh water in. So it worked really well, and I came back, no problems whatsoever, and I obviously was able to monitor it while I was away. So yeah, we haven't got an Apex controller, but we've got good Wi-Fi coverage of the doser, the pumps, the lights, and we also have a bit of autonomy in that the doser's got a temperature control that can be seen online. The temperature controller beeps over a set amount if we go plus or minus 0.5 degrees, and the Senai has a temperature controller that will check and text you outside of parameters. It also tells you if there's ammonia, and it also tells you if it's out of water, i.e. there's a leak. So I'm really, really happy with everything. Probably 3 weeks ago, I was getting really bored of waiting, and as you all know, there's lots of ways of starting these things a bit quicker. But I'm really, really happy that I've given it the time and that I've been patient, because I know that the biodiversity that I've built up in this tank now from absolute scratch, 1 is pure and clean, and 2 is going to be good enough to handle the bio load. So talking about bio load, just been another look at some more fish, and stocking wise, at the moment the plan is to start with a couple of clowns. I like clowns. I'm probably not going to go for sort of standard Ocellaris. I'll probably get, I don't really want the like super designer clowns, because I'm not that fussed about them, but I do like them having a bit of black in. So I've seen some that are tangerine coloured with quite a bit of black in, and they're sort of up from Ocellaris, but they're not designer handbag clowns. But I do like them. They add a good bit of colour to the tank. So 2 of them will go in first. We'll leave it a few weeks. We'll do a video the moment they're in, and we'll just keep checking all the parameters. At the moment, I'm checking alkalinity every day, every other day, just to be sure, because I want to keep that as constant as possible. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference at this point, but if you get in the habit now, then that's great. After that, there's a goby home, so we've got to put a goby in there. And I'm probably going to go with Abyss Aquatics. They've got a couple of really nice yellow or sulphur gobies with pistol shrimp, so I'll probably find one of them pairs that I like and try to get them working together in the tank, because I do like it. I find it a really fascinating pair. So yeah, so that's the next one. After that, I'll start on wrasses. perhaps an algae blenny. Depends on how the ugly phase goes when the lights stay on for a bit longer, how much algae there is. We'll have to dump a cleanup crew in there, and we will put loads in there when needed, but I'm cautious of not overloading it. And yeah, I don't really know how it's going to work, so I obviously haven't had the diatoms or any of the algae phases yet. They're all going to come through, and from having them before, I'm just going to ride them out and try not to dabble with it too much and just let the tank settle on itself. We've got a couple of fish in, we've got a goby and a couple of clowns in, and maybe a wrasse or two. I'm not going to stock it massively much more after that. Maybe 2 or 3 smaller fish, mainly wrasses. And then that will sit for good 3 or 4 months. I say that now, it probably won't be that long, but the idea is to leave it so that we've got a nice 6-month maturation before we start putting any SPS corals in. May put some tester corals in, but I don't really see the point if they're invasive and I don't want them to be in there, or 2, if they're something that takes a bit of work to look after, because feeding the fish is enough. I don't want the idea of feeding some sort of LPS coral every day and target feeding it, because I know in the past I've not enjoyed that. So we are nearly there. My next video will hopefully be the entry of the fish and all of the testing after a series of large water changes. So currently, just for parameters for anyone who wants to know, it's running at 1.026 or 35 parts per thousand salinity. Temperature, I started by having it as a steady 26, but the more I read, it's just 78 degrees Fahrenheit is slightly less than that. So I've put it to about 25.8 degrees, and it will fluctuate between 25.5 and 25.8. So 0.3 of a degree change before the heater comes back in. So really good swing on that. Ammonia 0, nitrite 0.5 ppm, nitrate about 40 ppm. Alkalinity, I'm running at about 8.8 and slightly increasing that. I want to get to about 9 and then keep that stable. And calcium's about 450, 440, which is nice and high because I'm using the Red Sea Coral Pro. So magnesium at the moment is quite high as well. It's at the top end of the 1400s, which I need to keep an eye on because any invertebrates won't like it that high. But I'm hoping that basically after a big couple of water changes that will come down slightly. If not, I may have to buy a lower mag salt because I know that the Coral Pro is quite high, but it shouldn't be that high. So I need to kind of investigate that. I'm probably going to do an ICP test as well once I get the nitrates down and get to where I need to get to, just in case I've got any metals in there that I'm not aware of or that I'm bringing in on the source water setup. I'm going to do a full ICP test as well, so I'll post the results of that. And then we'll be in a good position to start thinking about corals once it's all settled and we've got through algae phases. So yeah, feeling really confident, feeling happy with it. And thank you all very much for your comments. As you can see with the diffusers and with a few bits, I've reacted to them. I'm very, very happy to take that advice on board. And in some cases, spend money to follow that advice. Likewise, if you've got any questions for me, I spend many, many hours researching mixed reef and marine aquarium. So I'm more than happy to have a shot at answering any questions for you if you need me to. But yeah, thank you. Stay tuned and thank you very much for watching.